Hello everyone, welcome to a vlog. I'm sorry if I look crazy. I don't think I look crazy, but I also don't have my glasses on because they're broken. So like from what I can see, it low-key looks, I can't see shit. I don't think it looks crazy. Okay, so today I'm going to be starting a series called BookTube Rewind. I've had this planned out since June, and at first I was gonna get started, but then I'm a mood reader, so it was like very hard. But then I decided like, hey, like, but then Kayla from Books and Lala did this romance video where it turned out that she had been reading romance books since the summer. And I thought, oh, like, I don't have to read all of my books. Why does this look crazy? I don't have to read all of my books in one go. Like, I don't have to read it in 1 week or 1 month or whatever. Like, I can do them throughout time. So I figured, why not do that and just update as I read these books. So books would be one. I'm gonna be doing them out of order. I'm just gonna try to find like as many as I can. Maybe I'll do like seeing if they I don't really know what the goal is here. Most of the goal is that a lot of these books I do own, a good majority of these books I do own, so I just want to work on getting my TBR lowered. But also I just want to read these books because when I first joined BookTube I wasn't able to afford or get a hold of in general, like from I don't go to the library, I didn't have Libby at the time. Now I mostly read from my Libby. Like Libby is 70% of my reading, and so I wasn't able to read these books. So now that I can afford to, I'm able to. And these books are old, so I can get them on really cheap on like thrift books if I really want to own them. So now that I'm able to, I want to take the time and go back to read them because I think they're fun, and I want to get back into reading backlisted books. So I'm always working on reading like the newest releases or the books that came out like the previous year. And like when I look at the books I've read so far this year, I've read, as I'm filming this, 35 books, but I think the latest a book has came out is 2018. So I don't really read a lot of backlisted books. Like I'll see a book and I'll be like, oh, this book is kind of old, like is it dated? So basically this video is for a lot of purposes: to get books off my shelf, to get books read so I can heal like my inner teen, because I was a teen when I discovered BookTube, kind of. I discovered BookTube when I was 15, but to heal my inner teen, inner child, just a lot of purposes. So I have different, I almost said decades, I have different years on here dating back to 2012. I might go even further back because I went to go look up a book review for Poison Study and I found a review for almost 12 years ago. So I feel like if I do my research, I'll be able to go back and find some books like even later than that. But this video I'm gonna do 2014. It's such a random place to start. Like I feel like, you know, a normal person will start like 2012 and then 13, 14, 15. I'm gonna go out of order. I'm gonna go based off of what my mood is, and every video is not gonna have the same amount of books. Like some of these I have 3, some of these I have 5, some of these I have 4, like, you know. So the one that I'm going to be doing this video is 2014. So for this one I'm going to be reading We Were Liars, The Winter's Curse, and Cruel Beauty. I've always wanted to read Cruel Beauty, but then like Beauty and the Beast retelling started to get out of hand, and I'm not like obsessed with Beauty and the Beast retelling. Like they're fine, but then I actually got sick of them. But the second book, which is going to be in another vlog, is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and I really want to read that. But I wanted to read this one first because it's kind of a series and I want to get used to it. And I think reading We Were Liars will be fun because I know I'm going to hate that, and we love a good hate read. And The Winter's Curse was like really popular, and then back in like 2020, yeah, back in like 2020, the book kind of like became popular again for some weird reason. I think because the author wrote another book. First book I'm going to read is Cruel Beauty, just because I don't know, it just would be fun. And then the good thing about this video is like The Winter's Curse and We Were Liars are both on my Libby, and they're under 10 hours long. They're like very quick reads. Like I can read them in like 4 hours. So honestly, I might even go ahead and like read them all in one go just because they're so quick. But yeah, I'm gonna get started and then I'll be back to like let you guys know how I feel about it. Like every time I get on camera, my hair gets bigger. Like, stop. Okay, anyways, let me stop being dramatic. So At first, when I kind of wish that I recorded like my initial thoughts of the book, but I did not feel like getting out of bed. So, cause like at first when I was reading the book, I'm like, ugh, this book is boring as fuck. Like I'm like, this is so boring. Like I am not having fun. I was like starting to, when I don't like a book, I start to nitpick things about the main character. Like if I'm liking a book, I'm like, the main character is like fine, whatever. Even if the main character is just terrible, I'm just like fine, I'm enjoying the ride. But if I'm not liking the book, I'm gonna start pointing out things that just don't make sense to me. So that's what I was doing. I was starting to nitpick the main character, whatever. Oh, let me explain what this book is about. So Cruel Beauty is about this girl who is set to marry this beast because her mom had, I think her mom married him and then she ended up dying or whatever. Or her mom was sent to marry him and she ended up dying. And she has a twin sister and her dad decides that she's gonna be the one to marry him, and like she has to like kill him to seek revenge for the family. And she feels like this negative feelings towards her sister because she feels like her sister was the favorite, and it's like, well, I've been like picked, whereas you just get to live freely and like you just get to have like this normal sweet life, whereas like, you know, I'm dad's least favorite. And so she goes to live with this beast, and he has a shadow called Shade, which I just think is so freaking cute. So like when I was introduced, I was kind of like, oh, that's really cool, because I love Peter Pan. If you guys didn't know, like Peter Pan is one of my favorite like original like Disney movies. Not original, like it's a decom, but you know, like princess, you know, fairy tales. So my favorite thing about Peter Pan is that he has a shadow that moves. Like I love that. That's my favorite thing. And so the fact that this book introduces that, I really like that. I kind of wish it was like a Peter Pan retelling, but whatever. And so she kind of has like the guy, I expect him to be like really nice, but he's actually kind of an asshole, and there's actually something about that I really like I expect him to be like, because in Beauty and the Beast, like he's really off-putting at first, but then he's like really nice, and so I expected that to happen. Like he actually turns out to be nice, but he's not like mean or whatever, but he's not like nice like as you would expect, and I actually kind of like that. So when I first start the book, I'm like, oh, this is so boring, but then the enemies to lovers kind of got introduced, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of eating. And that's saying a lot because I don't like Beauty and the Beast retellings, but I do find this one a little bit, I mean, I feel like all Beauty and the Beast retellings are a little bit different from like the original Beauty and the Beast or from each other, but I like how different this is because she was sent to kill him. Like she's on a mission, and he has like a few rules, and like the writing is actually really like really good. And I was not expecting to love this. Like I thought I was gonna like it. I thought it was gonna be like a 3-star read. Even when I was hating it, I was like, this is gonna be a 3-star read. Because even when I first started and I wasn't really fucking with it, I was like, you know, it's not that bad though. Like even when I was trying to nitpick things about the main character, I'm not gonna lie, I could not really nitpick things. Because I was gonna be like, oh, like she hates her sister, she's so mean, like she thinks negative thoughts about her sister, but it's like, duh, her sister was the favorite. Like duh, she had negative feelings towards her sister. Like what do you mean? So it's like even when I was nitpicking, I kind of was dead ass just nitpicking. Like there wasn't really any substance there. And so I think I might get a book of 4 or 5 stars. I'm thinking 4. I don't think it's gonna be like an absolute favorite, but it's actually like a really good book. Like okay, booktube hype. I've actually also been going back and trying to find like booktube videos from 2014. I found like 2 best of videos from 2014, but nobody had mentioned Cruel Beauty. But like I said, I only found 2, so I think I'm just gonna type in Cruel Beauty review or just Cruel Beauty, because when you type in a book, they sometimes pop up all the videos that mention that book. So I'm gonna try and like just see. Actually about to clean me room. I had to take out the trash. I hate taking out trash because we have to walk to our trash can, and I hate taking out my trash in the wintertime. Like in the summertime, I be on it, but in the wintertime, don't nobody feel like walking to that trash can. And then sometimes when you walk to it, it be closed. But anyways, nobody cares about all of that. So I finished Cruel Beauty last night, and I gave it 4 stars. Originally I gave it like 3.5. I can't talk with this music on. I don't know why I thought I could. Okay, I gave it 3.5 originally last night, and then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, actually it was a really good story. I think I was just being a little bit harsh on it because there were a few things that I didn't like. But compared to a lot of other books that I've read, because all the books I've read this past week besides one book has been all 3-star reads. So I was like, this book is definitely better than a 3-star read. Like, it's better than all the other books that I've read besides like the Bones of Ruin. And I like it about the same much as I like Bones of Ruin. So I was like, you know what, let me just go and give it 4 stars and at least stop being stingy with my ratings. Sometimes I don't know how to rate things. So I rate things based off how I feel. So sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna give this a 3-star, and then I'll come back and I'll be like, this is actually a lot better than a 3-star. So yeah, I really liked it. I liked the plot. It had a lot of plot, because my issue with YA fantasy is that they don't typically have much going on in the story. I felt like the plot was really exciting. It was really good. It was really well thought out. It was really well paced. But the romance aspect, there was this really weird love triangle, and I was obsessed with it. Like, she had a love triangle with the shadow and the demon, and I was low-key obsessed with that. Like, I don't know, something about that, it was just kind of giving. The only thing that I actually didn't like was I felt like the romance wasn't developed very well. I feel like it was like she kissed the shadow and she was always kissing the demon guy. Like, they were always kissing, and I was like, that kind of gave. But I feel like the author used kissing as a sense of like falling in love with someone, because other than that, like, she really didn't have a reason to fall in love. Like, honestly, when she said that she loved the shadow, I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense, because y'all been like sneaking around all this time, like y'all been kissing, y'all been talking, he's been helping you. Like, that kind of makes sense. I still feel like it was too soon, but it kind of makes sense. But with the demon guy, like, did not make sense. Like, she wasn't really getting to know him. Like, she really had no reason to really love him besides the fact that they've been making out randomly. So I felt like for that sense, like, no, the author really didn't develop Nyx, who's the main character. The author really didn't develop like her romance with either the characters very well, because one minute they were kissing and the next minute she was in love with them. But other than that, like, I thought that the romance really gave. Like, there was some points where the romance felt flat though. Like, the romance wasn't consistent, but that's okay. And I do feel like the ending just didn't do it for me. Like, I don't really care about the ending. It wasn't like that bad. It wasn't terrible. It was a good ending. I just feel like for what the story was, the ending felt kind of like rushed. But yeah, so that's how I feel about that. I'm gonna start with We Were Liars, because that's only 3 hours, and then if I listen to it on 3 times speed, it might be even faster than that. I don't know if I'm gonna read both books today, but I'm gonna clean my room. I have to take out the trash, and then I'm going to shower and then start the book. So I probably won't be starting for like another hour or 2, because I am really slow, I'm not gonna lie. And then I got some new skirts. My cat absolutely loves that I clean my room. Like, she's like, finally, bitch. Like, she's just laying on the floor, like, she's just so happy. But I got some new skirts. I'm in my like earthy girl era, just like completely. So I'm gonna actually show you guys what the skirt looks like on me. Oops, actually I think that's fine. So this is the first skirt. She's very cute. I really like her. I don't really like wearing things like above my belly button, but actually let's see how that looks. I don't really like wearing things above my belly button because I got my belly button pierced for a reason. And I also like low rise things, so I would probably wear it like, trying to show my underwear, I would probably wear it like this, to be honest. Yeah, I would probably wear it like this because I like low rise things. But I think this skirt is like really cute. Yeah, I really like it. It has like this I look dumb, but it has like 2 layers, which I really like, and it's just like really cute. I love the colors. I'm gonna put it here just in case that low rise looks dumb. I love the colors. I just think she's so cute. And I'm gonna try on the second one. This is the second one. I really like her. I feel like she hugs my body like very well. Like, I just am absolutely, my butt is probably flat, and I just think my butt is like humongous. Like, I just think my butt is huge. Like, she's probably flat, but yeah. So this is the second one. I love how she hugs my body, like my curves she gives. I'm gonna get more of these long skirts. Like, this is what I want my summer look to be, like very much in my long skirt era, because I just like how this like makes my body feel. And this is like the earthy girl style, and y'all know like I'm an earthy girly, whatever. But yeah, and then I want to see what it would look like if I wore it low rise, because I gotta wear everything low rise. Okay, and then this is what it would look like low rise. So I love her. I feel like this makes my butt look as big though, because my butt is humongous, like as big as the sun, you know. I'm taking a break from reading, and I wanted to give you guys like a different angle because I am actually tired of the angle that I'm always giving. Apple! I just got done reorganizing my yarn, and I put it in like this little cat like shaped thing, and Apple loves scratching it. Anyway, so I'm reading We Were Liars, and this cannot be the book that y'all were going crazy over in 2014. Like, this cannot be the book that once TikTok became popular, it had a resurgence and people start reading it and loving that too. Like, I am just so confused because it's not that great to me. I find the book very boring. I'm about like almost 2 hours into it. Nothing has happened. I think the main character is very boring. The author focuses too much time to like show why the main character isn't like other girls because she's rich but she doesn't really want her money, and like why she's like, not that she's better than other people, but like low-key she is. And it's just like, it's boring. It's boring. Like, I'm just not having fun right now. And it's like, I feel like the plot twist is gonna be good, but it's like the book is not getting more than 3 stars. The plot twist better be amazing because I just don't see myself rating the book that high. Let's talk. We need to have a serious chat. What the hell is this, y'all? What the hell is this? This book, like, okay, so I'm gonna talk about like not my full thoughts, but like what I've been thinking so far, because I actually haven't really shared like how I feel about the book. So I'm just not understanding why this book is hype. I'm about 60% through this book and I'm just not seeing it. Like, I don't understand how you could read 60% of a book and be like, oh my gosh, 5 stars. Like, oh my gosh, I'm crying. Like, these characters are so bland. They don't have any personalities. Hell, the author didn't even go through the trouble of giving them like a tropey personality, like, oh, like the super like pretty rich girl of the group, or like, I don't know, the jock or whatever. Like, the author didn't even go through like that. This entire book is just conversations upon conversations about absolutely nothing. Like, they don't talk about anything, and it's not like it's the main character's Cadence, hideous fucking name by the way, whitest name you could ever think of. It's about the main character Cadence trying to figure out like what happens to her, but none of the conversations are actually her like trying to figure out what happens to her. Like, she's like, granted, now everybody on the island is told not to like tell her what happened for whatever reason, which I'm guessing we'll find out, but it's not like she's trying, she's not sleuthing, she's not roaming around in the middle of the night. Like, she's not doing any of those things to try and figure out like what happened to her. So it's like she cares, but really not that much. And like, she does get memories every now and then, but it's quite literally every now and then. Like, these are like the smallest memories. I probably have more memories of when I was 5 than the kind of memories that she's having right now. And Cadence as a character, I think, is very bland. The author wants her to be like, she's a rich girl. Obviously, they go to this private island every summer, and the author wants her to be like some type of character who like, oh, I hate being rich and I'm gonna give back to the people. But she very obviously does it out of guilt because she don't even know the staff name. Like, early, like the first few chapters in the book, she's over here giving homeless people her pillow, and it made sure to tell us how uncomfortable her sleeping without a pillow was that night. Like, okay, thanks for sharing that, I guess. Like, I don't know, it seemed really weird to be like, yeah, I gave this homeless person who's about my age a pillow, and like, although it was very uncomfortable for me to sleep that night, it was just like so worth it. And like, she gave away her grandma's picture frame with the grandma picture in it, as if somebody wants some old white bitch picture. I don't know. We don't know your fucking grandma. And it's just like telling us like how much she like, I guess, hates being rich or whatever, but she has the privilege to go to to this island every single summer with her friends. Like, I don't know, like it just seems like very like rich privileged white girl. Not even rich privileged white girl, like privileged white girl. Like, you literally have so much privilege and you're just sitting here trying to pretend like you're so much different than everyone else because you don't care about being rich anymore. And it's like, girl, we don't give a damn. The romance is very bland. It is the most boring shit I've ever read in my life. All she thinks about is whatever she does, like what, pottery or some shit. All she thinks about is like pottery and this boy, and the romance is not giving. It's not like some super cute romance. Honestly, I hope he dies at the end and it makes something happen, something good, I don't know. And it's just like, I don't understand like what you guys liked about this. And I don't mean this in a mean way, but BookTube back in the day was just rating anything 5 stars, child. Because my favorite, I love doing this vlog, by the way. Like, first of all, I love hate reading things. I love ranting about things. So I'm having a time of my life. But my favorite thing is really like going back and reading these books that I've always wanted to read. Like, I knew I was not gonna like We Were Liars. I knew that from the jump. I knew that back in 2014 when I was like, well, back in 2015 because I started watching BookTube a year later. I knew I was not gonna like that shit when I was watching everybody else's videos. But it's just like going back and just reading them is just, it's giving me life, because I did not read popular books until I joined BookTube. That's why I have a problem with always reading popular books now, because before I joined BookTube, I was just getting stuff from like my sister, and I was getting things from like school, and like if something was being turned into a movie and I saw the trailer, I would read it right before it came out. But like, that's how I was getting like my recommendations. Even though I had Goodreads, I really never paid attention to like the recommendations or anything like that on there, which is crazy because that's where I get most of my recommendations from. So I don't want anybody to think that this is like a waste of time or anything like that. Like, I'm having a fucking ball. I actually can't wait to do more. Like, I honestly want to film a bunch in just 1 month, because I'm having a time of my life, and just, it's taking me back in time. And like, I'm thinking about my favorite booktubers, and like, I forget her YouTube channel name, but like Ashley. Let me some Ashley. I loved Elias, but he didn't join until like, he wasn't like, these are like people who were just my favorites in general back in like the first few eras. I loved Haley in Bookland. I love Zoe. Loved Kayla. Like, you know, I love these people. Like, these are people I watched for years. And so like, reading these books and like seeing their reviews is absolutely hilarious to me. Like, all of these like people have rated these books 5 stars, and also seeing how their reading tastes have changed since then, and like seeing like some people like go back and change their rating. Like, I don't know, it's actually very, very interesting and fun. I would actually highly recommend doing this for yourself, like going back and reading like an old book, because I'm having a ball, and I love judging things. I love complaining. Like, honestly, this is like, I'm having a time of my fucking life, to be honest. And also, I love to be able to like hate things but actually know what I'm talking about. So like, if somebody ever talk about We Were Liars, I can be like, actually, and like, I've read the book, so I can like chime in and put my 2 cents in. That's also one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, that's how I felt about this book. This plot twist better give, because I'm not seeing how people were crying over this. And then also to see like TikTok come back and this book resurge again, and like, okay, in 2014 it made sense. Like, I'm actually, not that I'm judging anybody ever, but like, I'm not judging anybody for liking the book back in 2014. It made a lot of sense. Like, you know, BookTube in 2014 is kind of like TikTok now. Like, people are reading like Colleen Hoover and hyping her up even though her books suck. Like, you read the worst shit ever. You know, this is like when you first start reading, you're reading like the worst shit ever, or like, we didn't really have like a wide variety of books back in. So I definitely understand. But like, this book getting hyped on Book Talk does not make any sense to me, because like, the book fucking sucks. The characters are bland. Like, you can tell whoever liked this in the Book Talk era definitely was like, this was like one of the first books they've read, because it's not. The romance is bland. The characters are bland. I don't care about her family. All she does is have conversations about absolutely nothing. They keep doing these the fairy tale inserts or whatever is much more interesting than anything that's happened in this book. And like, I get that that has a purpose, but I don't care about your mom. I don't care about your dad. I don't care about her mean ass grandpa. Like, it just feels like useless. Like, it feels like the author was like, okay, well, how can we get from point A to point B? Like, what do I have to do to like get to this good like, it feels like the author thought about the plot twist first. I was like, oh, that would be good, let me build around it. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to reading this now. So I finished the book and I'm going to be giving it 1 star. I hated it. I feel like the author, first of all, this, y'all, okay, the rest of this is probably about to be spoilers. I'm not gonna lie, this book came out almost 10 years ago. So if you haven't read it by now, if you haven't spoiled yourself by now, and you for some reason want to read the most boring and dumb book you've ever read, then like you just want to skip to the next book, just know I gave it 1 star. I hated it. You can go read my Goodreads review because I actually don't spoil it. But yeah, let's get into the spoilers. So this book, I figured out the plot twist when as soon as the friends were introduced. I figured it out. I was like, what if they're all dead? Anybody who watches a bunch of Lifetime movies could have figured that out. Like, I think the years of watching Lifetime movies with my grandma really did that for me. I just felt like the plot twist was very dumb, and like for people to have been like crying over this, first of all, this was the worst friend group I've ever read in my life. Like, they weren't even her friends. Like, she referred to them as the liars. She never was like, oh, my friends. Like, even if that was like their group name, like me and my friends in school, like we had group names, but like when I would think about them, I would never be like, oh, like our group name. Like, I would always be like, oh yeah, my friends. Like, the fact that she never referred to them as her friend should say a lot to you. To me, it seemed like nobody wanted to tell the main character what happened to her or whatever. It's just the author trying to like get the plot to like get to the story to move on. Like, if we would have found out what happened, the book would have only been like 10 pages long. So she was like, so the author had to keep something going for a little bit, because like, I don't know, like I just can't, I really hate to be that person to be like, to shame people for what they've liked, shame people for what they read, because I have some books that like are not the best choice. Like, I have some books out here that everybody hates. Like, I have books that like, you know, suck that I love. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, be like, oh, like I'm better than everyone else because I didn't like this book or whatever. But seriously, like, the book didn't have any good characters. The main character was boring. The main character was just some spoiled rich white girl who just didn't want to be rich out of guilt. The friends, none of them were very interesting. The family was a piece of shit. Back to the friends again. None of them really felt like friends. They only really hung out and talked during the summer. She said that in the beginning. They weren't even really friends for real. Like, none of them really talked during the school year. So they didn't really care about each other like that. You don't know anything about the friends. What is there like about this book? The plot twist, I mean, I guess for back in it, I'm gonna give it, you know, its credit. Back back in 2014, the plot twist, I could see it being really good. But even then, I probably would have figured it out, because I've seen this trope so much. And that's not because, it's not like We Were Liars did something so like extraordinary that people just start like copying it. No, it's like, I remember seeing that trope before 2014. Like, I would watch a lot of Wattpad movies. Like, that's not any Wattpad movies. Lifetime movies are essentially Wattpad movies, but I would watch a lot of Lifetime movies, so that's not something like new to me. So yeah, that's how I felt about that book. So now I'm gonna start Winter's Curse, which should take me 4 hours. So I should be done around 11. But I'm actually going to watch my episode of General Hospital because that just came out. So I'm gonna take a little break before I get to reading Winter's Curse. Actually, I'm gonna watch General Hospital, and then Kari from Kari Can Read actually just uploaded a wrap up. And one thing I love about Kari Can Read is we read the same books in the same month. So I think it's just so interesting. I mean, they're usually like popular books, like duh, but she's really fast with like reading popular books, and we always read the same books in the same month. So I love watching her wrap ups. So I actually should be done around like 12 or 1 because I'm about to take a break. But I'm very excited to get to that. Like, I just love this vlog, and even if this vlog flops, I'm going to be continuing on with this series because I am having fun. So I'm now reading The Winter's Curse, and I am 10% into the book. This book was like really popular back in 2014, but I think a lot of people probably forgot about this book because I think the hype of it essentially died down, rightfully so. Like, so this book, I don't really know exactly what it's about because I'm only 10% in, but it like is like a slave master type of thing. And like, I did know that going in because I did try to read it a few years ago and I ended up DNFing it. But I wanted to read it for this vlog because I wanted to be a little bit controversial, like let's be real here. Um so I honestly don't think I'm gonna like this book, but like I knew that they were gonna talk about like slave master things or whatever like that. So I just prepared myself and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna think of it as like he's not like a slave, he's just like a servant or like something like that. Like it could have at least been like slave servant. Like it didn't have to, I mean, master servant. Like it didn't have to be master slave. Like come on now, let's why? And it's just like, why did the author write this? Like, why didn't she make it like a servant? Like why? Like, and it's like she's saying slave specifically. Like it's not like, oh, like she's calling him servant or whatever. No, like she's specifically saying slave. And like I keep trying to be like, okay, well, servant. But like she said it so much in the past 10%, and it's just like I cannot help but think about this author sitting at her desk and writing out her slave. And it's just like, how do you as a white woman write these things? Well, I don't know if she's white, she might not be, her last name, I don't know, but we're just gonna say like, oh, any kind of person. Honestly, how do you as a person write this and you're just like, I don't know, I just can't respect you? Like, how do you just think about like slave and master history and you go, I'm gonna write a romance book based off of, like, I don't know, like you gotta be white, I'm sorry, to just not even see. I am really sleepy, so I might actually be getting ready for bed soon because ooh, I am tired. But it's only 12, so if I go to sleep now, I'm like bound to wake up like at 2, because for some reason when I do that, my body thinks that like I was taking a nap. So I am 30% into The Winter's Curse, and I thought about it, and earlier I said like, oh, like I'm not sure if this author is white or not, but you know how I'm assuming she is, and like how do you as a white author write like a slave book? Rather the author is white or not, it's still wrong, but I feel like it's even worse when if they're white. But even if the author isn't white, the main character is, so that makes it a lot worse. And it's just like, I don't know, I feel like if this was just like a servant type of thing, like it wouldn't have been as weird. But I just feel very uncomfortable reading this book, and it's like the power dynamics are never gonna be normal, like it's never gonna be, and I just can't. And it's like, honestly, I could get with this book because it's not really a plot, but like I guess the plot is like, it's like okay, understandable. Like her dad is like really important in the military or whatever, and the women in her world have to get married or go off to service. And so her dad is like, okay, it's time for you to either get married or go off to service. And she's like, well, I don't want to get married. It's very clear she's gonna try to marry the servant boy. But I wish that plot would like hurry up, well, that plot point would hurry up and come around, because they're not doing nothing but chit-chatting and fucking around. And like I could see if like this was like to be like, slavery is bad. Slavery is literally used for romance purposes, and I'm guessing plot purposes. And like I feel like it needs to talk more about how terrible like slavery is, and I'm just like not understanding. And then most of the people who gave this book 5 stars are white people. Like I'm like looking at the reviews and I'm side-eyeing y'all. Like I'm so sorry. Like I don't know what I thought when I was gonna go into this book. Like I remember people talking about how bad it was, that it was about slavery and stuff like that, but I wanted to like see for myself, because I sometimes I do talk out of my ass, but that doesn't mean I like it. I don't like talking out of my ass, and I would prefer to have read something and experienced something for myself, so I can, you know, have my own opinions and add my own 2 cents or whatever. So I mean, I knew I wasn't really gonna give a fuck about this book. The romance really isn't, I mean, from what I've gotten so far, the romance really isn't even that good. I guess it's like a forbidden romance type of thing, but it's not like that good, like for it to have gotten 5 stars. Like I mean, I guess I'm not gotten that far, I'm only 30%, but it's just like, and then I can't speed it up because they have like weird, I don't want to say weird, but they have accents in this book, and I cannot speed up like the books that I'm reading when they have accents. And it's just like, I just don't understand, like morally, like how do you read this book about like slave and master, and you are like not uncomfortable with it. Like, I'm not understanding. Like, people are just like, and it's like people were reviewing this book like 5 months ago, 2 years ago. Like, people who reviewed this book 8 years ago are like, okay, I'll give it to you. Like, that was a long time ago. Like, you probably changed, you probably learned, like, whatever, I'll get that to you. But a few years ago, I'm side-eyeing you. Like, side-eye. Like, I don't know, this whole video, everybody's just getting side-eye. Like, everybody's just getting side-eye. We were liars, the winner's curse. All of y'all getting side-eye. Like, this is what you're reading, this is what you're giving 5 stars. And I can't. So yeah, that's all I have to say. But I had to come and I had to add my 2 cents, because I don't want to pop back up and I have finished the book and I'm like 1 star. I feel like I'll probably end up giving this book 2 stars, because I think plot wise the book is pretty fine, it's pretty decent. The only thing is that how comfortable the fact that this book is about slavery is like making me. Like, it's like I'm really uncomfortable. Like, the only reason why I'm finishing it honestly is because I just want to see what about this book got y'all rating it 5 stars. What about this book got y'all being like, oh well, I don't even care about slavery because this romance is just so good. So I just want to see how good it is. Oh, I was getting into my black mom bag. But yeah, I just want to see how good it is for myself, because y'all acting like this was like the greatest shit since sliced bread, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. And it's like, are white people that like unaware? And then I'm reading this during Black History Month. Oh, Mariana, what? Oh damn, I think that's also like why my ancestors are like, girl. But I just wanna know, like, what about this book is so good that y'all don't give a fuck about slavery or slave master and damn, slave and slave master, that y'all are just out here being like, this book was so good, 5 stars. Like, even if you just like the plot, like, I want to know what about this book was just that damn good. And this book better be so fucking good for it to have 3.9 rating on Goodreads. I do want to make it a point to say that, like, I can't act like I'm like better than people because I didn't like this book. I'm at 50%, and I'm just coming back to say that this book keeps pointing out that these people are slaves. Like she keeps being like, the slave, wait, like, the slave bought me dinner and he didn't look at me, or like something like that. Or like, she got into this duel because I want to call him Aaron so bad, but it's pronounced differently, but I'm just saying Aaron because that's how it's spelled. He is like the love interest, and he's also a slave, and they went to like this party at somewhere, and he was like her escort. And so he walked away and he got accused of stealing this book, and you come to find out that this was actually his house and that was his book. And like, so she's like, okay, well, so the guy's like, well, we're gonna like punish him and whip him. And I'm like, okay, out of all the slave things, like, is whipping the one that you wanted to keep? Is that, you couldn't have came up with something else? So this is a whole fantasy world and you couldn't have came up with something else. Like, it's, whipping is what you want to keep here. So she's like, no, like, that's my slave, like, you can't do that. Like, he's like, nah, like, what's going on? She's like, you know what, I challenge you to a duel, let's fight. So they about to fight. They're doing like something called needles or something like that, I don't know. He fucking her up, and she's supposed to be like the general's daughter, so she should be able to fight. She gets like really close to him. It's like, I got your secret, like, let me win and I won't tell everybody your secret. He lets her win. Her dad takes her home. He like washes her up or whatever, and a slave like brings her, he like brings her like something like water, I don't know, something like to, you know, help her. And she refers to him as like a slave, and I guess it's like, what else are you supposed to refer them to? But it's like, I don't know. The author might as well just type slaves out in all caps whenever like they come. I don't know why she can't just call them a servant, or why can't she just be like, oh, like the kitchen staff, or you know, like why did she have to call them like slaves? Like if you respect them, and it's like you can tell it's like she doesn't really care for these people. Like it's like, oh, I feel bad for them, and the only person that she cares about is her love interest. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's like she doesn't really care for them, and she only cares because her love interest is a slave. Like her love interest, if she happened to actually like love someone who, I don't know, if her love interest was somebody else, like she, I don't know, it just, I just think that it's weird to make it a point to tell us that one character is a slave. And then also they have like house slaves and outside slaves. You might as well just start making them pick cotton. You might as well just say that these, like, they might as well just be like black people. Like you might as well just have wrote, like, I just feel like if you're gonna write a fantasy world and you are gonna do slavery, I feel like you shouldn't. And there's like so many other people who were enslaved. Like black people weren't the only people that were enslaved. So it's like you could have taken so much from other people who were enslaved, but you wanted to take like the house slave and the outside slave and the whipping and all this other, like it's very clear that it's customs from black slavery. Like she might as well just call me a Negro. That is always all up in my business, like, girl. But anyways, let me get through this fast because can you just upload the video and I want to watch it. And I just finished this damn book. So I finished The Winter's Curse and I'm giving it 2 stars. Low key, if the whole slave thing wasn't a part of it, I think it was like it wasn't that good of a book, I'm not gonna lie. Like it would have been a pretty solid book. It would have been a 3-star. I maybe would have continued on with the rest of the series, but I'm just very uncomfortable. Like I'm sorry, I am uncomfortable. And even with the way that the book ended, I just don't care. And speaking of the ending, so around the 60% mark, the book got kind of interesting. Like the book kind of was okay. Like it wasn't a terrible book. It's not like the worst thing I've ever read. Like it was fine. But 60%, I'm like, oh, okay, things are finally happening. Because nothing was really happening for real. So I'm like, oh, okay, things are finally happening. So what happened, and this is a spoiler, so if you want to read this terrible book for whatever reason, you know. But so what's happening with this book is around the 60% mark, the it's so crazy because they were going to like this party and she ends up taking Aaron. I'm just calling him Aaron. I'm sorry. I don't care how she pronounced it in the book. I'm calling him Aaron because that's how it's spelled. So she's taking Aaron with him, and well, he insists actually. And then they get there and he's like, don't drink any of the drinks. I'm like, oh, they're about to pull the Cruel Prince. But this actually came out before the Cruel Prince. So whatever, but still they're about to pull the Cruel Prince. So, and what I meant by that wasn't even the poisoning thing, but I was like, oh, it's about to be like the end of the book just really gets good and gets you. But, and I mean, that's what happened. So, you know, everybody at the thing ended up getting poisoned and a lot of people end up dying. And so obviously she didn't because she was saved. And so she like confronts him and she's like, oh, like you're so disgusting, you're so sick. And I'm like, there's no reason you should be upset about a slave killing people when he has literally been enslaved. Like there's no way this character should be upset about that. Like you feel so bad about slaves, but slaves finally like coming together and being like, how do we get out of this, and you're killing these people. Like I don't know, like now the character wants to be like, oh, like these people, like their families and blah blah blah. What about the slaves' family? Like what about the enslaved families? Like what about them? It's just like I don't know, that part kind of pissed me off because I get what the author is trying to do, like have this character be like someone who cares about all these people and whatever. And I guess she couldn't have just been like, okay. But personally, I think if the author really just had the character think about it and was like, okay, well, we enslaved their people, so that's definitely understandable as to why someone wanted to be free. Like, you literally talked about like how his sister was like taken away from him and his parents were taken away from him, and you were literally like in his house that he had taken away from him, where some like rich people now lived and he didn't own things anymore, and you have the nerve to get upset with the enslaved because they wanted to like finally fight back. I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So yeah, I gave the book 2 stars. I'll be back, you know, my next clip, but to me it's tomorrow, to close out the vlog and just know my final thoughts. I'm so mature. I'm so mature. I'm so mature. Okay, so anyways, time to end off this vlog. So I read 3 books. I read Cruel Beauty, which I gave 4 stars to. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected, and I'm actually glad that I started off this book with something, this video with something positive. I actually am gonna purchase a copy because I love like this book and I wanted it so bad, but I can't buy things without reading them anymore for some reason. And then really, when I start talking Apple, oh yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna get me a copy. Stay tuned for my next vlog where I'll be reading the sequel to this book, which is Crimson Bound, which was one I was actually really excited to read, and I've seen a lot of people have positive things to say about that one and how much better it is and how much they love that one a little bit more. So I'm actually really excited to read that one. And then the next book I read, which was We Were Liars, which I gave 1 star to. That one was not good. I was gonna be like, it was okay. It wasn't okay. It was not good. It wasn't fun. It was just a bunch of dialogue and people talking about nothing. They weren't talking about what was going on. They weren't talking about anything that mattered. None of the characters had personalities. The main character didn't have a personality. You don't even become, the characters give you nothing for you to even become attached to them, for you to cry when the plot twist happens. Mind you, the plot twist is something I've seen on Lifetime a million times by the age of 7. Like, it really wasn't anything new, and I guess at the time it could be innovative, but I'm not judging, because everyone, when you start like reading again, like when you're honestly, I could see that book being like, I could see myself maybe, nah, because I've always been a harsh reader. Like, even when I started reading like Wattpad, when I started reading actual books for BookTube, I remember I read everything, and I love that book, but I gave the book like a 4 stars when I first read it. Like, I remember I hated Eleanor Park when I first read it just because of how boring it was. Like, I feel like, yeah. And then the last book I read was The Winter's Curse, which I also gave 1 star. I originally gave it 2 stars because I was like, okay, for the plot. But after I started reading everyone's reviews about the book, I wouldn't change my review to 1 star, because I honestly think it's a privilege to read a book about slavery and to not even think anything about it and just be like, oh, this is a good book. Because for me, at the age of 5, my father started teaching me about slavery because he knew that schools would not teach me what I needed to know. And my great-grandfather died when I was 20, so I had him in my life for a long time, and he would sometimes tell me stories, and I just feel like it's a privilege to not be that educated on what has happened to your people. And it really, like, I can understand if, like, I don't know, I feel like the author definitely took from actual slavery, and I think if it was just like, okay, like, these were slaves but they were treated as servants, that would be fine. But like, the author took from actual slavery, like they were whipped, they were house slaves and field slaves, and it was just way too close to like African American slavery, and it seems like she turned it into something that was romanticized and fictionalized and whatever. And I get that, like, you know, the other books she could like talk about, oh, slavery is bad, or maybe that was the point of this book, but it was overshadowed by the romance, and it was never going to be taken seriously because of the romance. I've never been into like the slave master thing, like that's never been my thing. Like, even like, you know, like the movies and like, you know, slave movies and books and whatever, I've never been into that type of trope. It's very disrespectful to me. Shocking, because y'all know I love white men, but I have my boundaries, let's be real here. And so I feel like it is a privilege to be able to read this book about slaves and to just be like, oh, this was a good book, and to not feel uncomfortable and to not imagine your people and to not think this is very disrespectful, to even take it and like take it away, taking something away from like Black people essentially, and to romanticize it. It's very disrespectful, and I'm not judging anyone for liking the book, even though like it did hurt my heart going through the Goodreads reviews and just seeing so many white people rate the book 4 or 5 stars, and so many people say it was good. And even people who didn't rate the book 4 or 5, like even people who rated the book 2 stars, nobody said it was slavery. They were like, oh, the writing didn't connect with me, or the book didn't connect with me, or I just didn't like whatever. But it was never like, oh, I'm uncomfortable because this is a slave. And I'm talking about booktubers mostly, because I read a really long review from a creator on Goodreads, and it was a very good review, and she talked about slavery and how disrespectful this book was, and she went point by point on what was wrong with this book, and I really respect that review. But reviews from booktubers itself, I am a little bit disappointed, and I'm not gonna lie. But it was 2014, like I'm not gonna like really do well on it. I am gonna be kind of side-eyeing y'all, but I'm not really gonna sit here and be like, these are terrible people for liking this book or whatever. It's really not that big of a deal. It just shows your privilege to me, honestly. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'm going to be doing another one very soon. This was so much fun to me. I had the time of my life. Like, don't think just because I hate it. I know everybody loves a good rant review, so do I. And this was fun, I'm not gonna lie. Well, besides the Winter's Curse, but even that was a little fun, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was fun hating. It's fun hating things. And I rated a book for, like, I had a good book in the beginning, so we started off strong, so I could like keep me going through the disappointment I had. And I just can't wait for you guys to see this vlog. I can't wait for this series to continue, and I'm just so happy. So yes, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one.